What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Isn't It Crazy podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that I've dealt with my whole life, and it could get a little serious. I want to talk about immigration, but before I weigh in on what's happening right now, I want to give you guys my point of view and why I've dealt with it my whole life. And I'm sure if you clicked on it, you have family that wasn't born here and is dealing with a lot of the negativity that's going around. So when I was one, my mom left me and my sister in Guatemala and came to the United States just in the pursuit of a better life for us. And for the next 3 years, she saved up as much as she could and sent whatever she could. And in the process, she met my stepdad and she got married. And as they were getting married, the lawyer mentioned to her that she could claim us as legal residents. She just needed to get us here. So she called my aunt and who was taking care of us at the time and told them that she needed us here. So we got put into a white van. And it's crazy how I remember everything. I was only 5 years old. We got put into a van and they gave me, I remember they gave me like puzzles just to like occupy myself through this long ride that we're going to take. And we traveled through van all the way to the northern part of Mexico, where we were dropped off with a coyote, which is just a guide. It's like a guy who takes you from Mexico to the United States, and he knows the path through the desert and just knows the safest way, I guess you could say. These guys are kind of sketchy. You have to really trust them. And luckily, my mom's friend who worked here, that was her dad. So there was kind of an insurance kind of thing. Like her dad wasn't going to do anything because we knew the family. But yeah, we got there and we stayed in Mexico for a couple weeks. I think waiting for more people to show up, but eventually it was time for us to cross. And I remember we were dropped off at some like broken down house in the middle of nowhere, and these some guys had like gallons of water strapped to themselves. And I remember we were passing a bag of Doritos around, and once nightfall came, they told us to start walking. So we started walking through desert. There was nothing else, just sand and rocks. And if you ever been to the desert at night, it's really cold. So a lot of people had heavy clothing on. And as a 5-year-old kid, you don't understand what's happening. You don't know that you're crossing the border to another country. I didn't even know what another country was. I just thought everything was the same. And I would ask questions like, "Are we there yet?" And there was this guy next to me, and he's still good friends with my mom. I asked her what happened, and she says that he still lives around here. But he told me, "Look at those lights." And there was these lights at the distance, and these lights are used by immigration to like as mile markers. So 10 lights means 3 miles away or something like that. And he pointed at the lights and he said, once we get there, there's going to be a bed and food, and you just got to keep walking. So we walked towards these lights. I think he was just trying to motivate me. And once we got to the lights, my 5-year-old brain was like, what the fuck? Where's the beds and the food? So I was kind of, but then he just made up another like motivational lie to say, just keep walking, just keep walking. But in the process of that, we were caught by immigration, and my sister was separated from me and my aunt, and she went with the coyote, and we just went with a different group. And I remember they put us in a cell somewhere in a little detention room, and I still remember what the immigration officer did. He gave me crackers and a Capri Sun, and I remember everybody would tell me, "Don't say your real name. Say your name's Diego or Pablo or something like that." Just so like if we tried again to get in, I wasn't registered in the system with my real name. So I just agreed. I didn't really know what was happening, but I remember my aunt was really tired and she just looked really rough. And then they let us go. They drove us to Mexicali and pretty much just dropped us off. That's all they could ever do. They can't put you in jail or they just deport you back to Mexican authorities, I guess you could say. And we tried to go over again. I think the same day too. We just kept walking and we got to the border of San Diego. And I remember there was a street and we were supposed to go over that street into these grasslands and they put a blue tarp out and everybody was waiting and I had no clue what we were waiting for and then this truck showed up and everybody ran from the grasslands into this truck and I was thrown into the truck and I don't know if I got knocked out. My head hit the side of the truck. I don't know what happened, but I woke up in a house. Maybe I just went to sleep, but I woke up in a house maybe smaller than a one bedroom apartment and there was like 50 people in there and we were all waiting for something. I guess we were waiting for my aunt to pick us up who lived in California and she picked us up and she took us to her house and we waited there for a couple months and then we flew out to Chicago where we met my mom. My sister, on the other hand, she had to wait 6 more months to get picked up by my stepdad, who had to travel to Mexico to assure she was going to get through the border. And he ran a risk too because, as a legal resident, why would you cross the border? But he made sure that my mom's kid made it across. And why I want to talk about how it connects to today's immigration status, I guess, or state is my friend Noemi. She sent me a link that talked about how they're treating the kids down in Texas in these detention rooms. They're holding them for 3 weeks. They're not giving them toothbrushes, soap, just general like care. These kids aren't being taken care of. They bring a 2-year old into these cells and ask the older kids to take care of them, and the older kids are what 14, so they don't know how to take care of a kid. They're also they're giving blankets and stuff like that that aren't really helping these kids because they're sleeping on the ground anyways. They have to make a choice between sleeping on the concrete or sleeping on this rough like military style blanket, and that's where I started to like have problems reading it was because I remember as a kid I was in a detention room. I was given a snack. I was told everything was going to be okay and then I was let go in a matter of hours. These kids are being held and they're being separated from their parents, something that did not happen to me. And I was scared. So imagine what they're going through. Um just recently I came back from vacation and I was stopped in Dallas and I was put in a detention room just cuz there was a problem with my green card and I knew it was going to get sorted out. So I'm sitting in this room with other people and these people just seemed like they were worried. They didn't know what the status of their trip was going to be, whether they're going to have to go back home or they were going to get arrested. I knew everything was going to be fine for me and I was on my phone and at one point I looked around and these people just you could see the anxiety in their face and the stress and the moment they would call you up and give you your passport and let you out of this room because there was no you're not getting out of this room. They had to buzz you out. The moment they got called, this like weight fell off their shoulders and you could see the relief. And for somebody who has never dealt with immigration, it's a scary thing, when you lived your whole life here, you are threatened to be taken back. It's scary because you don't know how to live over there. Yes, you will get accustomed to the life over there, but the opportunities there are very low. There's a reason why these people take the risk to cross the border. Back when we crossed my mom said it was just easier. There wasn't so much tension at the border that there is now. So uh, there's hurdles that we never had to encounter crossing the border, I saw a picture of this man and his baby girl, and they had drowned. And to me, I was thinking, how lucky am I that we didn't have to cross a river, that we didn't have to climb mountains and go through tunnels. We just walked across a flat piece of land to a road, to a truck, to a house, to my mom. And these people are struggling. And the struggle, somebody said, why would anybody want to cross the border and run the risk of getting murdered and raped or drowned? And it's because where they live, they run the risk of getting murdered and raped, and their economy is shit. I mean, if you look around Mexico, Mexico's a beautiful state, and I'm sure there's a lot of good cities in Mexico, but for the most part, people are poor, and their economy is just run by these corrupt officials who don't really care whether the economy or the people's status is good. I know there's a lot of pressure from the United States to have them fix this so immigration isn't such a big problem, but it's a broken system, especially in Latin America where there's a lot of corruption and people are just being greedy. So these people are looking at the United States. They look at the American dream with a glimmer of hope. Maybe it's just a little bit of hope, and they're willing to risk it all. I know my mom did, and it worked out for us, right? We could honestly say we have a successful immigration story. We crossed without a problem. We got here and we became citizens and or residents, and we are living a better life because of it. You know, because of my mom taking a risk 21 years ago. So I'm sure the people just crossing over aren't rapists. They're not murderers, and there's enough space and enough jobs. If I could walk around my town and I see that there's now hiring signs, there's people in need, and these people are not here to be bad. They're here to give their kids a better life and just a better opportunities that their country did not give them. I know that's the reason why we're here, because I can't imagine what I who I would be if I still didn't lived in Guatemala. I think I got a better education. I think I got better opportunities to do what I want to do. You know, I look at my cousins and the ones that are back there, and maybe they're happy, but at the same time they're struggling, and it would have been a rough life, you know. So now the immigration status. My last episode, I talked about how I thought it was like kind of fake, these like immigration stops, and then I got a couple pictures throughout the week, and they are not fake. And the article I read, it's the New Yorker or the New York Post or something like that, that that talked about the kids. They also talked about what to do if you got detained. So if you have a relative or a friend who's an immigrant and they're scared of these stops, there's certain steps you should take. And if you're having a conversation with them this weekend, the things you should tell them is: one, ask if they're being detained. Second, keep your mouth shut, other than just asking if they're being detained or if they could have a lawyer. As an immigrant, you don't have the right to a lawyer, but you can ask for legal representation. And third, don't sign anything. I know even being in the presence of a cop, sometimes you get scared, or these people are pressured and scared to sign their waive. They waive their right to an immigration hearing. So don't sign anything. Don't say anything. Ask for a lawyer and ask if you're being detained. And the last part is an interesting part. Do not give them fake IDs or lie, because they could use that against you. And if you do acquire a lawyer at the hearing, he has less room to work with, because now you have another charge on top of the immigration charge. So just picture it like you got pulled over and they find a gun and they find weed. And the first charge is just the gun, but then the second charge is the weed. So it becomes a lengthier sentence, or and your lawyer has to either make a plea deal or he just has no room to work. Say you just maybe had a gun, or you just had an ounce of weed, or maybe it was just a stop. Your lawyer can work more with the less charges they have on you. So it's an important conversation you should have with anybody that is an immigrant. And but you're saying maybe you don't know any immigrants, maybe you just look at Facebook and you see these conversations happening, and what can we do about that? I think if you hear about a traffic stop that concerns about immigration, if you're legal and you have some free time, I think we could clog these intersections. I saw people sharing lists of where the rates were going to be, and I think it's our duty to stand up for these people who can't stand up and talk and have these conversations for these people who can talk because they're scared of outing themselves. I think it's important to do something about it. Speak for the ones who don't have a voice and stand up for the people who can't, that are being oppressed. Trump is doing this. I truly believe he's doing this because of an election, and he's trying to go back to these MAGA people and tell them, "See, I did what I told you I would," and these people got deported, and it's for what? So you could become president again? These people's lives are being ruined, and these kids are being scarred. They might leave in 3 weeks, but the treatment, the sexual abuse, and the fear they have that they're feeling right now is gonna be with them forever. If at 5 years old, I can remember so many details about what happened when I crossed the border. Imagine what they're gonna remember. Um, there's this story. It's not a story, but it's a show called The Night of. It's on HBO, and they take this kid who is just a normal kid, and he gets charged with something, and they take him to jail. And in jail, he has to survive, so he becomes this brutal criminal, and it's because of the hatred and the abuse and everything he went through. And I truly believe that some of these kids with not bad intentions got into those cells, and maybe they got raped or they got mistreated, and now they come out of these detentions with just a hatred towards America, and you're breeding these criminals that you so much want out of your country, and that's not right. So what can we do about it? The way we fight this is, yes, protests and conversations are nice, but if you want to have a systematic effect on this, you have to go ask the people who run your local government and ask who gave these orders to allow these rates to happen at Walmart, at the mall. You have to ask these questions when you're voting for candidates. You have to ask these questions. Are you going to allow these rates to happen? Are you are you sympathetic to the immigration cause? We have to vote for people who are sympathetic and who want to have a progressive way of going about immigration and immigration reform. There's a lot of like democratic debates going on right now, and immigration is a big topic just because of the caravans and the way Trump is putting pressure on these ICE agents to round up as many as they can. And I inherently believe that these people aren't bad. The ICE agents are just doing their job. They're I think they sign up with the mindset that they're stopping the bad guy. They're stopping the narco. They're stopping the terrorists. They're stopping the sex rings and the labor laws that are being violated to a lot of immigrants. These ICE agents aren't all bad, but sometimes they're just following orders, and they take bad or they take good people away. They some in the interview that this girl conducted with these kids, she asked them, are some of the guards bad? And they said yes, but most of the guards want to see these kids get out, and these kids are letting her know like some of these guards just can't help us. There's so many of us, and they're trying to get us out as fast as they can. But I think where the problem stems with that is that the current regime, I guess you could call them, Trump and his cabinets, they're not going about it the right way. They're not setting policies that can facilitate how these kids get moved out of there. And it's heartbreaking to see that because the only difference between them and me was that I came 21 years ago when Bill Clinton was president and not Donald Trump. Such a bad president. So what do you do if you don't want to wait till the voting starts? You could go donate. I'll put a link on the article that I read about the kids, um, how to donate, and shout out to Noemi for being so passionate about these topics that she sent me all. I asked her, and right away she sent me everything I needed to know about what was happening, and it was great research. And these, I think these donations could do a lot of good for these kids and the families that are being separated. So, and we have to change the mindset that we have right now. There's if you have anything to say, we have to change the mindset of the people who are trying so hard to get these people, these immigrants, to leave, and that's the MAGA people. Um, just like Martin Luther King said, like you don't fight with violence, you do it peacefully. Um, when they were fighting for the civil rights, they sat and they protested, and they never fought back because then you become the animals that they say you are. When you hit them, when you attack them, they say, "See, they are the criminals. See, they are these rapists and murderers." So we can't give them that. And next time you hear, eh, MAGA people love to say this quote that says, not even MAGA people, just my whole life. I grew up with this quote, and they say immigrants come here and they take our jobs. And next time you hear somebody say that, ask them how somebody who had to travel thousands of miles with little to no money, little to no education, doesn't even know the language, beat them out for a job they wanted. I think that'll change their mindsets and just share your story, share what you went through if you're an immigrant and you're legal and you can talk, share your story and let these people know empathy is a human trait that allows other humans to feel to imagine what it would feel like. And I think that could change a lot. We fight this systematically. We fight this with our stories and conversations. We fight this by just sharing something on Facebook so people know. I know a lot of people are sharing that picture of the guy and his baby girl dead in the river, and it's a powerful image just because it shows you the realistic risk these people are taking just for the sheer low promise that they're going to live a better life. So that's what we should do. And hopefully, we get a Democrat to be on the as a president. I'm not against Republicans being presidents. I'm not a Democrat. I don't favor Democrat or Republican, either or. I just want somebody who's going to do good and has smart ideas and isn't Donald Trump. Like, I don't hate Donald Trump, but he doesn't know what he's doing. um we were having this conversation with these kids from Oklahoma, and I told them once I brought Donald Trump, they all got like tens, and I was like, I'm not gonna talk shit about Donald Trump, and I'd rather have Donald Trump there than have a mean smart person that can actually do something than a dumb mean person, because he's not gonna get a lot of shit done. But if we could do without any of those two, then sure, that's the better candidate to pick. But for the time being, he is our president, and to a level, you have to respect that. You could say fuck Trump all you want, and he's still gonna be president the next morning. Then nothing's ever gonna change that. The only way to change that is to vote. And I was looking at CNN yesterday, and they were showing that Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania all we Hillary Clinton lost because of 10,000, 40,000, 20,000 votes in these three swing states. And if you think voting isn't it doesn't work, or maybe your vote's going to waste, these three states show you that if 10,000 people, if 120,000 people would have voted a different way or actually voted, we wouldn't have this problem. Or maybe, yeah, we would have the different president. Maybe we'd be in war because crazy Hillary is just fucking insane too. It's a shit show, but hopefully these candidates that are coming up change the immigration reform, change our economy, and just change the way that we see each other. Not so much we're on this side, you're on this side, and nothing ever gets done. So I'm gonna stop talking about immigration just because it's such a dark kind of thing, and I don't want my day to start like this. So let's move on to sports. In sports, I was wrong, and I know a lot of people are gonna roast me about it. Kevin Durant's a moron. He just waived his player option for $31 million and is becoming a unrestricted free agent, meaning he could go with anybody and they could offer him anything he wants. And everybody's saying he's going to land in the Knicks. If Kevin Durant goes, he has to win a championship. And bottom line, if he wants his legacy to be a good one, he has to win with the Knicks, and I don't see that happening at all. I most likely he is going to just get another injury. If Derrick Rose is a testament to what happens after an injury, um, you're fucked. And if you haven't seen KD and Derrick Rose is a little thicker, shittier knees, but KD is a stick and a very fragile one at that too, mentally and physically. He's a good player. I'm not saying he's not, but if you look at LeBron James, he's built like a fucking brick house and he lasted 18 years. And I don't see KD's gonna have to take a lot of the workload, not having Steph, Clay, Draymond, Iggy there. So his minutes are gonna go up, his production is gonna go up, and that brings the risk of injury up. And if he does not win a championship, everybody will say, see, he left Oklahoma to go to the world Golden State Warriors, and he needed them to get a ring. He couldn't do it. He wasn't good enough to do it himself, like LeBron James or Kawhi or any of these people that he's getting measured up to. So I'm excited. I'm interested to see what happens where he goes. I think the Brooklyn Nets would be a better fit. I think the Clippers would be a great fit if they could get Kawhi there. But the Knicks, you're fucked. That aura, that Madison Square Garden aura, just makes it 10 times worse because the lights are brighter and there's media attention towards you. And if you fail, they are going to roast him. And his legacy is fucked because everybody's going to say he needed the Warriors. The Warriors didn't need KD. And they got close to winning, and you could say KD just brings them over the hump, but at the same time, say KD wins a championship, right? Then the narrative becomes the Warriors needed KD, but that mountain's so hard to climb, and I don't see him making it to the top, especially maybe in the East is coming up. They have Toronto, they have Milwaukee, they have the Brooklyn Nets saying D'Angelo is there. If Kyrie goes to the Knicks, he has a chance. He has some hope, but if I were Kyrie, I'd go to the Nets. The Nets is a better option. The Nets is a rebuilding team. They don't have a crazy owner, and there just seems to be hope. And you're still in New York, but we'll see what happens with them. And in other free agent news, we have Jimmy Butler. They want to move him from 76ers. He could land in the Clippers or the Lakers. I think the Lakers would make Jimmy going to the Lakers would be very interesting. He's dealing with veterans and he's dealing with LeBron James. So instead of dealing with young kids like he did in the Timberwolves and in the 76ers, where he had these problems because these guys weren't producing as much as he wanted as a veteran. So he would be a good fit there. You got Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson's probably going to stay with the Warriors, um, just because my back to my argument that the team that drafts you loves you the most. The second team that gets you sees you as an asset and not a necessity. They could always trade you if they need to. And the first team, they scouted you. They know your weaknesses and your the ups and downs that you have gone through, so they're more lenient towards you. Other than that, you guys know I love fighting, so I'm gonna find a fight every single week to talk about. And this week's fight is gonna be Francis Ngannou versus Junior Dos Santos 2. And they're just running it back because if you've seen the first one, Dos Santos says he got his knee injured and that's why he couldn't fight. Some other people say Ngannou clipped him and he knocked him out. It's hard to tell because they both kind of happened at the same time, and that controversy is why they're running it back. I think Ngannou wins again just because Junior Dos Santos is old and rusty, and Ngannou did clip him. It seemed like he knocked him out, and maybe in the process of getting knocked out, he fucked up his knee. Like he just felt kind of weird. But the only way Junior Dos Santos wins this is clearly Ngannou's um, Achilles. The way Junior Dos Santos wins this is clearly the same way DC beat Ngannou, and um, that's by wrestling him. He has to take him down to the ground and pound him, get him tired. He doesn't have a cardio. He doesn't have a ground game, and Junior Dos Santos does have that. He trains with DC. He trains with Khabib, so he definitely could do that. Don't go for the knockout. And don't be scared of the knockout. I know Miocic wasn't scared of the knockout. He did get hit with bombs, and he still managed to wrestle him to the ground, and that's how he beat him. So that's Junior Dos Santos' only way to a path to winning. And Ngannou, on the other hand, just keep doing what you did last time. Just rock him in the chin, right? He has a brittle chin, and come in there with confidence and do not let him take down. You don't have to work on your wrestling, but at least your takedown defense should be better by now, knowing that if your coaches saw where you lack, that's what they're going to tell you. Because learning how to wrestle takes a long time, and just learning how to defend it as much as you can and just try to keep it on your feet is the best possibility that Ngannou has. In other sports, I know my friend Ari's gonna roast me because I talked about soccer once and I don't know dick about soccer. So it came off as like kind of a shitty segment, and I from what I know, the CONCACAF is happening right now, and I saw the brackets, and Mexico and USA are aligned to become, if they win, they beat the teams, they see each other in the final, and I want that to happen so bad. Not because of the state of the immigration or anything, just because it was growing up. It was such a fun rivalry. You had your friends who were Mexicans, you had your friends who were from the United States, and it was always just a good match because of the hype and everybody talking like, "I want them to win, I want them to win." So it'd be fun to see that, and it's in Chicago, so I would definitely go buy a ticket or two, take my dad, and go watch it. So real quick, I know I'm just gonna start calling it entertainment daily, I guess, because all I talk about is movies. And I watched a movie this week that I've watched since I was a kid, and that's Toy Story 4. And they got us again, man. They fucking, you think it can't get any better than the last one. The last one made us cry. Toy Story 3 made us cry when they're like going into this inferno, and you think that's it for them, and you think they can't one up it, and they did. It's such a good movie. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry, and it's kind of creepy. They bring like a fucking Annabelle doll into it, and the only thing I didn't like about the movie was that, and spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, you could fast forward right now. But the only thing I didn't like about the movie was Woody leaves Buzz for Bo Peep, and I thought it was bros before hoes. I didn't know fucking what's Woody gonna do? He can't bang her. He's a fucking toy. I don't know. Maybe Andy's mom's toys get to play a role in that fucking scene, but it's definitely not. It made me sad because I always correlated that "You Got a Friend in Me" song to Woody and Buzz and Andy, and it made me sad when Andy left the toys, and now it makes me more sad knowing that Woody's not there to like lead the pack, I guess you could say. But it was a good movie. Fair warning, if you're gonna watch it in theaters, there's a mountain of fucking kids, and one of them was kicking the back of my seat. One of them slapped my girlfriend with a blanket in the face. It's a nightmare. So maybe get the later show, but even then, some fucking parents don't give a fuck, and they bring their kid to the ten o'clock show. So beware of that. Other than that, I want to talk about the Democratic debates that are happening, and these things are such a silly thing to me. You So the way our elections are held, there's Democrats and Republicans, and they each make a bid to become the president. And then they debate, and then you get voted on, and then they just filter out till one party has one member saying last time it was Donald Trump and last time it was Hillary Clinton. But on the way up, you talk so much shit about your fellow Democrats and your fellow Republicans, and you're saying bad things about these people, like Joe Biden touches people, and um, Andrew Wang just wants to give everybody free money. So you're talking shit the whole time, and then you get one guy, right? And then if you become president, or you have to team up with the people you just talk shit about. And people don't forget these things. People don't forget the mean shit you said about them. So what if their incline isn't to help you because you said that you touch people and stuff like that? So you talk shit about the people that are supposed to help you in the House and in the Senate, or whichever they do. I'm not sure. So you talk shit about the people who are supposed to be your comrades after this whole fucking thing happens, and I guarantee you some of them do bad shit because you said bad shit about them. Like, as a human, when somebody's mean to you, you're not gonna be nice to them, right? And especially these people that are ego driven and they want power, and they're just trying to step one over the other to get to the top fucking spot on the hill. It's a funny thing to watch, and I love how they just bombard and call each other out. And some of them had good rebuttals. Some of them just got stuck in the mud like deer in the fucking headlights. But it's an interesting thing to say. I think we should start watching them more closely, see what they say. I know a lot of it is fluff. I know a lot of it is just trying to sound nice so they get the vote. And but look at the fundamental things they say. Some things they can't run away from. Some things they repeat over and over again. And sometimes when you tell yourself that lie, it becomes the truth. And these people are saying stuff like, "I want to give 1.6 trillion dollars of student debt loan," is what Bernie Sanders said, and he's been saying that for years. And I think the motherfucker, if he got in there, he would do it. The first thing he'd do is give everybody free college. And I don't know how that works. If maybe I went to college, and are they going to pay what I had to pay? Or are they going to give me a check for what I paid? Or how does that work? Oh, okay. So you owe money from the debt or whatever. You're paying that off, right? They're not going to give you money for what you paid, but they're going to give you relief on the debt that you owe. So these people don't have to make those payments anymore, and they could put it towards a mortgage, and the economy should get interesting if that happens. If we could bail out a bank, why can't we bail out these people that are just trying to live their lives? You could bail out a bank because they were scumbags. Why can't you bail out somebody for trying to become a better person and higher their education? So we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, back to entertainment. If you haven't watched Black Mirror, I think you should. There's this video game one that hit home for me. I love video games, and to see, I think the importance of Black Mirror is it's like the Twilight Zone, and it's kind of like a vision of what could happen in the future. And VR, the first episode is insane. If you like video games, I think you should watch that, and let me know what you think about that. I'm running out of time because my camera can only record like 30 minutes each time. I don't want to make it too long. So, as always, send me suggestions. I know there's a couple people that send me suggestions, and I wanna I wanna get them into the line. I did have an idea of what I wanted this podcast to be at the beginning, so a lot of these subjects are already pre-planned. So once I run out of those subjects, I'll start bringing in the suggestions, or I'll just do one in and one out kind of thing. Um, but keep them coming and keep the conversation going about immigration. Stand up for those who can't stand, speak for those who can't speak, and donate and do everything you possibly can. If we have this privilege to be legal citizens, I think we should fight for our Latino brothers and anybody else, any other country, not just Latinos, Polacks, Chinese, anything that has a shitty immigrant story, help them out. So comment down below, like and subscribe, and as always, shout out to the people who support me. Thanks.